So, if the play 5-act Hamlet is divided up like a pyramid, we just left Act 3 where Polonius was killed, the rest of the play is going to go downhill. There's no taking back the death of Polonius. Act 4, I sometimes call the calm before the storm, because Act 5 is filled with a whole nother set of action sequences. And Act 4 is sort of like dealing with the consequences, the aftermath of Polonius' death, and then showing us a setup for Act 5. And Act 4 divides into two parts for the most part. Scenes 1 through 4 are all about Hamlet on the night that Polonius was killed. We're getting him off the stage. We're getting him out of Denmark. He's going to be headed toward England when he leaves at the end of Act 4, and Scene 4, and delivers his last soliloquy. The rest of Act 4 deals with the Polonius and his children plot, where Polonius has died, and now we watch Laertes and Ophelia deal with the consequences of that. So the four scenes, we're moving pretty quickly now, are as follows. As Hamlet drags Polonius' body out at the end of Act 3, Claudius walks in and learns that Hamlet has killed Polonius. In Scene 2, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are searching around for Hamlet because Claudius has ordered them to try to catch him, but they are not able to do so. Somehow, between Scenes 2 and 3, they do succeed in catching him, and Hamlet and Claudius confront each other for the first time since the play within a play. And Hamlet is basically arrested and sent off to England. Scene 4 is kind of a still scene at first because Hamlet is marching off to the coast with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, and on his way he runs into Fortinbras's army. He doesn't talk to Fortinbras, but he talks to one of the captains. Remember, Claudius is allowing Fortinbras's army to travel through Denmark to go fight Poland. So let's look at each of these things individually. So no sooner has Hamlet dragged Polonius out of the room than Claudius enters, hearing Gertrude crying. And he asks her how Hamlet is. Remember, it's still just the night of the play within a play. And when he asks Gertrude, how is your son Hamlet, she says he's mad. Now, could mean two things. It could mean that A, Gertrude truly thinks Hamlet is crazy because he just talked to a ghost and killed Polonius. Or B, she's doing what Hamlet asked her to do, which was allowing Claudius to continue to think that Hamlet is truly mad and not just mad in craft. Claudius looks over the entire scene. I often call it the CSI scene because he's looking at the evidence of the murder. The disheveled bed, the torn curtain, the two portraits of him and his brother, the bloody puddle, and he realizes this is very bad for me personally and politically. It just doesn't look like he's a good king if he can't even restrain his own stepson or nephew and allows his best minister to be killed in his very wife's bedroom. He also knows that this was actually meant for him. That knife that stabbed Polonius, or that sword, was actually his. So Claudius, the political animal that he is, he immediately launches into PR mode. He wants to get ahead of this story politically. He sends Rosencrantz and Guildenstern to find Hamlet's body because he's trying to control the chaos. And he tells Gertrude that they're going to call together all their good friends and consult them and try to explain what happened. Again, he's doing good PR and he's trying to control the situation. So Scene 2 is very short. It's only one page, but Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are running all over the castle trying to find Hamlet. Hamlet is in a bad place. He has made a mistake. He has killed Polonius, and he has very few cards left to play, but he does have one that's going to allow him to lord it over Claudius a little bit, and it's Polonius' body. He has hidden it beneath the stairs, and he's refusing to say where it is. It's the only card he has left. He insults Rosencrantz and Guildenstern just as he did in the recorder scene. He calls them sponges that want to soak up information from him and then be squeezed by the king and reveal that information and then be thrown away. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern don't seem to understand why they're being called sponges, but Hamlet just mocks them for it. He says he's going to go with them. He says, bring me to him. And then he says, hide fox and all after, which is sort of like, ready or not, here I come, or come and find me, or catch me if you can. He runs away and the chase is on again. But somehow he is caught and he's brought into, in Scene 3, the presence of Claudius. Again, all he has to harass Claudius now is insulting his drinking, his weight, and talking about Polonius' body but not revealing where it is. Hamlet is quibbling and just being saucy and just trying to destabilize Claudius a little bit. He acts like he doesn't know what's wrong, why he's been called, and he'd rather just ramble. And so he rambles about worms and rot and fat kings, and he's generally just trying to get under Claudius' skin. Eventually Claudius breaks through and demands, where is Polonius? If you look carefully in the scene, he says, where's Polonius when the scene starts? And then where is Polonius as the scene continues to show us Claudius's increasing anger. Hamlet finally tells him that Polonius's body is hidden underneath the stairs, and Claudius immediately orders Rosencrantz and Guildenstern to go get it. And Hamlet stops them and says, oh, you don't have to hurry. Polonius will stay till you come, which is a terrible joke about him being dead. So the scene is really a satisfying one, even though it's short, because Hamlet's acting like everything is great and wonderful, and he's excited about going to England, and Claudius is still acting like he really cares about Hamlet. You know, he's like, we are concerned about the things you've done, and we hold you dear to our hearts, and therefore we're going to send you to England. One of my favorite lines is when Hamlet is saying goodbye to Claudius as he heads to England, and he says, farewell, dear mother, and insists on calling him mother, a feminine term, and Claudius says, thy loving father, Hamlet, because he certainly doesn't love Hamlet, and he doesn't want to be a father to him. Hamlet refuses to allow Claudius even that correction. My mother, father and mother are man and wife are one flesh, and so, my mother. So he's like, I insist on calling you my mother. And so it's kind of a hilarious farewell. When he leaves, Hamlet's bravado has indeed gotten under Claudius's skin, and it enrages him. And he reveals that it's a secret plan, not just to have Hamlet go to England and collect their neglected tribute, but also he's going to send secret letters with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern that say, upon opening this letter, kill Hamlet instantly, chop his head off, no confession time allowed, no shriving time allowed. And he's going to demand England to do that. He seals them with his royal seal, so even Rosencrantz and Guildenstern don't know what the letters they're carrying say. So a little time passes, and Hamlet's clearly packed up, and off he goes, although they say it's tonight. And Hamlet is headed toward the shore. Now, Hamlet never speaks to Fortinbras in the play, but he has a lot to say about him. And Fortinbras, don't forget, has the actual last line of the play. Hamlet actually runs into Fortinbras's army and into a captain, and just like Hamlet does with everybody he interacts with, he asks him questions. The captain reveals that Claudius has given them permission to cross the country, and they're doing this peacefully in order to attack Poland. He further reveals that they're going to attack a part of Poland that is a tiny, worthless piece of property that you couldn't farm on, you couldn't live on it, and more men are going to die fighting for it than can actually be buried on the land as that small. Hamlet says the rational thing, well, if it's worthless, the Polak won't defend it. But the captain says, oh yeah, he will. It is already garrisoned. Hamlet just marvels over that. He's like, I can't believe that all these men are going to die over a worthless straw. And then he bids farewell to the captain. So after the captain leaves, Hamlet gives his last soliloquy. This is very important for our understanding of the play because Hamlet has been words 4 times, just endless words. And this is the end of words in some ways for Hamlet, where he's not going to do a soliloquy in Act 5. It's easy to cut this speech because it's repetitive of scene 2, where Hamlet saw the actor weeping over Hecuba and reflected on himself. Here he sees Fortinbras and he reflects upon himself. He meditates on Fortinbras's actions, the fact that he's willing to die for a worthless piece of property. Hamlet compares himself to Fortinbras, whose name literally means strong in arms, and finds himself wanting. It's weird, because when Hamlet was talking to the captain, he said, oh, well, this is a stupid fight, and I can't believe that you're going to do it. But when he gives the speech, Hamlet realizes, no, this fight is actually very noble, and he admires Fortinbras for fighting. For Hamlet, it does not matter that the property is worthless. What matters is the principle being fought over, which Hamlet interprets as honor or manhood. Fortinbras is for fighting for something that is, in essence, a straw, an eggshell, as he says. And Hamlet says, what about me? I have something real to fight for. And Hamlet ends with a rhyming couplet that's not real satisfying. He ends with the word forth and worth. He declares that from this time forth, based on his inspiration from Fortinbras, his thoughts, Hamlet's thoughts, will be bloody or nothing worth. And this is kind of a grand ending. Kenneth Branagh in his film even makes it the intermission, like this is part 1 of Hamlet, of the 2 parts. And it's true that Hamlet, sounds really good here, but he's on his way out. This is actually really problematic. How do you kill Claudius when you're on a boat headed toward England with no plan to get back and a death warrant in your two fake friends' buddies' pockets? It's unclear to us how Hamlet's going to solve this problem. And maybe it's unclear to him too, but he states very defiantly he's going to solve this problem. But one other mystery, how is Hamlet going to get back to Denmark? But the other one is, when Hamlet does get back to Denmark, because spoiler alert, he will, his thoughts aren't bloody. Hamlet's actually a different kind of guy in Act 5 than he was for the first acts. I always say in Acts 1 through 4, he flails around, and then in Act 5, Hamlet is at peace. What happens? That's what we'll find out as we continue to read Act 4 and we wait on Act 5.